Hello everyone. So I'm going to show you today using these two donor phones. This one belongs to this screen. This one has got its screen attached. I'm going to show you how to completely strip down excuse me, strip down these phones so that you literally have bits like this just laying around like I have here. These are bits that actually came out of this case, which isn't totally stripped down yet, and this is an iPhone 6s. And we will go ahead and strip these two phones down, but I will put them in separate bag to this one here. So let's just position the phone accordingly in my, oh, I'm knocking everything flying now, so don't worry. Into my mount. Oh, don't want to see that side, do you? Right. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. Taking a little bit of adjustment to get it just right. Okay, so first one we are going to do is this one that's already had like a few bits taken out. You will need a little receptacle to store your screws in, so I've got a little pot here. And we're going to start with the screen. Taking the home button out, taking the camera module pieces out, etc. And we'll take these screws. You can take these screws out to change the actual digi or the screen if you don't want to change the digi. The screws on this side and the screws on this side. They are extremely tiny Phillips screws. To take these parts off here, I have a Phillips 1.8 screwdriver. I would hope you could see what I'm doing here. there, folks, that there is a magnet, because that is your speaker for your headpiece there. Now, to get such as the camera up, you will need sorry about this, getting it out. No, that's not it. Here it is. A plastic spudger tool. To lift this circuit board up, you just need to slide the spudger, if you can get it in there. It's very faddly. Up like so. On here, very, very tiny little modules. That's your proximity sensor module there, which, as it actually seems, forms part of the screen. So all this is all part and parcel of your screen. So your camera module, your screen, everything is inside that. I don't need the speaker. I'm not going to take the silver shield plate off the screen, because I want to keep the screen pretty much intact like so, because this is actually, it's an okay screen. But I'm going to take out the home button here, and to do that there are 3 screws located on the back of the screen. The plate for the home button just comes away quite simply, and if you can see just down here, again I'll need my plastic spudge tool, but this will just lift away just like that. Very, very, very tiny connector right there controls your home button right there. Please bear in mind that this is a strip down of a 6S. It may not be the same for other phones, so please just be mindful of that. I will put my home button, however, in with my screws. Now note how I have a whole load of very tiny screws here. I have actually magnetised a pair of tweezers for this job. Pop the screws back over there. And as I said, we are not stripping down the screens on these phones at all, because the screens are actually in quite good condition. I'm not going to strip down this particular back because, as you can see, it's got quite a good looking battery in it, so I'm going to keep that just as a spare. However, we will strip the phone down that does not have a battery in it. We'll not strip out the screen because we've just done that. Again, you will need your spudger because we need to separate the screen from the main board here, which I've just done. This cables were already detached previously. I just had to detach this little one here. So we're going to move the screen out of the way for now, and we're going to concentrate upon the stripping of the rear of this iPhone 6s. This one doesn't have a battery. It really doesn't matter at this time. But I will be putting the parts from this 6s separately to the parts for the other 6s, so I don't get muddled up. Let us crack on. I'm going to work pretty much methodically. I'm going to work from bottom to top, and I'll go through the parts as we progress. So here, the first part I'm going to take out is the vibrator motor. This vibrator motor is what makes your phone inevitably vibrate. There is a tiny little hook just right down here, as you can see. The vibrator motor will have to hook when you reassemble the phone. There's a tiny little hole here which will have to go into that hook, otherwise the vibrator motor will not sit level. That is that removed. Next upon the list here, you'll see we have, here's your earphone jack. Now this bit is a bit of a pain in the bum, so please bear with me. Last time I did one of these, I actually ended up breaking the thing. This screw is actually loose. I'll see if I can fish out tweezers. No, I can't, so I might have to unscrew that one a bit more. Oh, sorry about that. I think this is one I probably played with before, and I might have actually put the wrong screws back inside it at some time. We have a screw released, by the way. Another screw is now released. Sometimes you do have to be a bit careful with these screws, to be fair. But we now have those two particular screws released out the phone, should we say. Next, we're going to aim for some screws here around the charging port. Sometimes you'll find the screws do need just a little tease, but, you know, other than that, they do come out quite forgivingly sometimes. Excuse me. This one's a stubborn little sod. This one might be actually loose in the case, but I don't think it is. Here we go, we got it. We lifted it out. We do have some very thin antennae wires here that we really should disconnect, because these will, and I do mean will, get in your way. So now we've disconnected the antennae wires, we can go ahead now and disconnect or unscrew the screws that hold the speaker into position. Speaker is this big semi-magnetic thing at the bottom here. We will disconnect the speaker in a minute. You get your spudger and you disconnect the speaker and battery circuit, which is, well, the battery charging circuit speaker, if you can get it off. Sometimes they're very, very stubborn, just like so. You should now find you are able to lift out your speaker and antenna mechanism. I shall put that with my vibration motor. Now folks, please note that here your charging circuitry mechanism is actually stuck quite well, should we say, to the bottom part of your board. This here, which is your charging circuit, your microphones, etc. Everything's in that little bit there. You will need some kind of heat on the back of the phone case in order to get this up successfully. Excuse me. We are now going to take up, I think the SIM tray is out to this, is good. We're now going to take up the main board, which is this part here. Would help if I had the right screwdriver. This tends to be held down quite well, to be quite fair, because when I stripped the main board out of one of these before, I found that a lot of the cables, especially around here, were actually holding the main board into place, especially this little bleeder one here. As you could tell, my spudger's quite well worn. Okay, we'll go back this a different way. Down. Now we've disconnected the back main camera from the main board here. I can now just go ahead and remove again our screws from the camera module, which is right here. We are now beginning to see that the main board module here is beginning to lift. So if I take these screws out here, which is the antennae module, this board will lift out. It's a tiny little silver plate here, which is held in by two extremely tiny baby little screws. I do love baby screws. And also held down like so by a connector, which we've just disconnected. There are now 3 more screws that we must remove. We should now find that the main board comes free from the rest of the phone's back, like so. Now on this main board, it is really important to notice and check